We start this week's shir with the weekly story, and this is one of the most amazing, marvelous miracles because it includes within it quite a few miracles, and one miracle is greater than the other. And Bezrat Hashem, like we said before we started recording, we'll be able to go and to share these miracles with others and to spread miracles, as the Rebbe says from the famous sichos that we studied already from Hanukkah, the promoting and the going and distributing the knowledge of miracles to others, into the public, hastens and speeds on the great miracle that Hashem has promised us, the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, on a good and revealed basis, and it should be teichef umiyad mammesh, mammesh, mammesh. Our story takes us back to the 1980s, as we say in Hebrew, the memim, the years of Tafshin Mem, and we find ourselves with a young man by the name of Rabbi Yisrael Zusman. Now, this young man, he was a yeshiva student. He was actually a very well accomplished Torah scholar. But after he got married, he wasn't able to go and to continue his studies, and he had to leave the study hall, and he went into business, and he was quite successful actually in business, obviously giving tzedakah and providing for others. But nevertheless, it still pained him that he wasn't able to go and to sit and to study day and night on a consecutive basis as he used to. So one of his friends that he shared his pain with told him, why doesn't he go into the pact, going back into the beginning of the time of the children of Yaakov? As we know that there was Yisachar and Zvulun, and Zvulun, who was into the concept of business, would provide for Yisachar to sit and to study. So maybe he would be able to go and to see to it that he will be the one to go and to provide for a Torah scholar to sit and study day and night. He fancied the idea, but he didn't want to go and do anything unless he went and had a counseling with a rabbi. He went to a rabbi called Rabbi Steinman, who was then the head of a very famous yeshiva in Bnei Brak, the Panovich yeshiva, not a Hasidic yeshiva by far. And when he sat down to speak with him, so Rabbi Steinman told him that he sees the idea to be very positive. And so Rabbi Zusman decided that he will follow up on the project. Not only did Rabbi Steinman see it in positive light in his eyes, but he told Rabbi Zusman that he even has in mind an individual that would be the appropriate and fitting person to be the Yisachar, the person that would sit and study. This person was a rabbi by the name of Yudayakin. His full name, if I'm not mistaken, is Rav Shmuel Gad HaKohen Yudayakin. He was a descendant of the Gaon of Vilna, Rabbi Eliyahu, the Gaon of Vilna, and he truly was a real masmid. He sat and he studied day and night, night and day, barely taking breaks for the bare necessities of life. And when Rabbi Zusman went and spoke to Rabbi Yudayakin, so he said that he would agree only on one condition, that the amount of that he would be paid would be the amount that would be just enough for him to get by, not a penny more. Rabbi Zusman said that's fine with him, and he started to go and to send him on a regular basis amounts of money in order to go and to provide and to see to it that he had what he needed in order to continue his Torah study. Years went by, and Rabbi Zussman, our businessman, had a business trip to New York, and before he traveled, a relative of his called him up, and she asked of him if he would be willing to take a promise to fulfill her request. He was cautious and curious because, if it's something that he has to give a promise, there must be something behind it. But he said yes, and he went to visit by her. And this was his cousin. She was expecting. She was pregnant, and when he came in to her home, she broke out in tears, and she said that the doctors just found by her a malignant tumor, and they told her the following. They said that as far as they're concerned, she would have to receive chemotherapy, and based on the fact of the treatment, so they advised her to Rahman al-Itzlan, Hashem should watch over us. They advised her to abort the child. Now they realized that this was, a very, very difficult thing for anyone to hear, let alone to do. And the professor that was counseling her and that was watching over her situation told her that it's either one or the other. She told her. She said either it will be, it'll be a child that will be born with many complications, or it'll be a child that'll be born a yosem, an orphan, chas v'sholom. And then the professor looked at her, and she said to the cousin that I really feel, she really feels for her situation, but that she should know that if she was her daughter, so she would tell her own daughter to abort. Based on all this information, she said that she heard her cousin Rabbi Yisrael Zussman is traveling to New York, and she asked her cousin to go and to visit by the Rebbe, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is known for his working of miracles, and to ask for a bracha in regard to what to do about what the doctors say, the treatment, and obviously the second question, which was even more important to her than the first, about the aborting of the pregnancy. And she was quick to say that you should tell the Rebbe that she will follow whatever guidance and direction the Rebbe gives. Okay. Rabbi Yisrael Zussman, he traveled to New York, and he found himself on the line Sunday. Even though he's a very devout individual, learned individual from the Lithuanian school of thought, he's on the line waiting in order to fulfill the mitzvah of his cousin, the shlichus of his cousin. And the date that he found himself waiting online was none other than Sunday, the day that the Rebbe gives out dollars, the 26th of Adar, Adar Aleph, the first Adar. It was a leap year. Tafshin Nun Beis, 5,752. Now, needless to say, for those that know the background of this date, this was the date that the following day on Chav Zayin Adar, the Rebbe had undergone a stroke, and it left the Rebbe in a situation where the Rebbe discontinued the giving out of, on the regular basis at least, on Sundays, giving out of dollars to the public. There were distribution. There was at least one that I recall of dollars, but it wasn't the regular distribution as we knew it until then. Anyway, it was a minute before 7 o'clock. It was the last hour of that distribution of dollars for that week. And he sees there are so many people waiting online, thousands of people. And he understands that the Gaboim, they're looking after the Rebbe, trying to look after the Rebbe by making sure that everyone hurries through, receives the dollar, and goes and just keeps on going. He realized that if he was going to go and to deliver the message that and to receive the blessing for his cousin, he's going to have to come up with some type of a plan, because as soon as he's going to be in front of the Rebbe, he's going to be finding himself outside. So he decided that he's going to, when he goes in front of the Rebbe, he's going to grab on to the stender that the Rebbe is standing by, and he's going to hold on tight until he is able to go and to deliver the message and to receive a bracha. And so it was. He grabs onto the stender when his turn came, and the Gaboim quickly grab onto him, and they're about to throw him off, and the Rebbe gives them a very stern glance, as if to say, let him speak his piece. And then he went and he told the Rebbe the details of what his cousin is going through. All of a sudden, the Rebbe looks at him and he says, if you could give me her name and her mother's name. Of course, he gave the name and his cousin's name and her mother's name. And then the Rebbe closed his eyes for a moment and opened the eyes. He described it as if the Rebbe went up to heaven, had a scan, had a look around to see what's going on down here, and came back. With this, the Rebbe told Rav Yisrael that the doctors are mistaken. It's not this disease that the doctors have said, and they should make they should look for something else. Rav Yisrael was literally shocked, and he didn't know what to do. And the Rebbe looked at him again, and the Rebbe said, "You should." We have another participant. The Rebbe looked at him again, and the Rebbe said, "You should tell the doctors that the disease is not the disease that they diagnosed, and they should look for something else. And in the meantime, you should tell your cousin that she should go through with the pregnancy and the birth." 1 second. And based on this, the Rebbe said, there's no place for the other question in regard to the pregnancy. The Rebbe said to him, not only will the baby be born healthy, but he'll grow up to be a very special individual. Okay? And with that, he received $1, actually $2, one for himself, one for his cousin, and wham, he found himself outside. Trying to gather together his thoughts, the first thing that came to him was to run to a payphone. Then there were no, it wasn't common to have a cellular phone. He ran to a payphone and he called Israel, and he told his cousin what the Rebbe said, and he hung up. The cousin went to have new observations and new checkups done. And after they went and they did different scans, they couldn't find a trace of what they saw and what they found beforehand. It wasn't there. It simply wasn't there. Now, if that wasn't enough, the professor, who was feeling like, what's going on here? She started to interrogate the cousin and asked her, listen, what did you do in order to go and to bring about such results? Did you start a new diet since we last saw you? Did you have any types of new treatments outside the treatments that you were receiving over here? And she said, no. And basically, Rav Yisrael Zusman returned back from New York. And when he arrived in Israel, he personally went to the professor to tell her what actually happened. After he related the story of what actually happened with the blessing of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe saying that it wasn't what the doctors diagnosed, and based on the facts, the professor banged on her table and looked up with tears in her eyes and said, Yesh Elokim, Hashem exists. There is a God. Okay, listen, there's one miracle after the other. Now, if that wasn't enough, Rav Yisrael Zusman decided that he wants to share this miracle with his business partner, the Yisachar that he's providing for in order to be able to go to study Torah day and night. He goes to his business partner and he tells him the story. Rav Shmuel Gad HaKohen Yudaikin. Now, Rav Yudaikin heard the story related to him, and afterwards Rav Yisrael Zusman tells him, listen, I know that you and I are far removed from the Hasidic community, and to say the least, but this is a miracle that I experienced personally, firsthand. Rav Yudaikin looked at him and he said, listen, it's an incredible story, but I can't accept the story unless I go and I check into the details. But mind you, after I check into the details and I confirm that everything that you said is 100%, I take upon myself to start to study Hasidus. For him to go and to say such a thing, it was a remarkable statement. And he went and he looked into the details. He verified that everything was 100% true. And he started he kept his word and he started to learn Hasidus. And he later on in life, he published his notes, a book of 500 plus pages of his notes on the Tanya. And this is something that it's remarkable. I mean, these are among the other great compilations actually that he sat and he wrote chidushim, great ideas and commentaries on the Talmud and so on. But this is exactly how one miracle led to the next miracle, and like we said before, it's difficult to know what miracle was greater than the other. But Baruch Hashem, we were able to go and to tell over all the miracles, and with Hashem's help, from here and on, we'll be able to go and we'll testify to the greatest of miracles, the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, with the Geulah Hashlema V'Amitis, the true and the complete redemption. And the main thing, it should be Teichef Umyad, Mammesh, immediately now. Yechi Adonenu Morenu V'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Le'olam Voed.